I want to welcome everybody back to the November Piscataway. This is Brian Waller, Mayor of Piscataway Township. We do have 4 guests this evening on Piscataway, and first one was Les Jones, Director of the County Health Department for Middlesex County, to talk about the COVID crisis. We also have Council President, at-large Councilwoman Gabrielle Cahill, who stopped by to speak about cable access and also the aggregation. And then we had our Chief of Police, Tom Mosier, talking about the National Chiefs of Police accreditation for the Piscataway Police Department, as well as Lisa Couch from the Fish Organization talking about the food pantry. So stay tuned and watch the show. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving during this pandemic, and please remain safe.
So we're at East Jersey Old Town Village in Piscataway for the county's partnership with McFoods for a food drop-off. This is part of our Halloween festivities here at the village. We're inviting the public to come out to donate food to McFoods for the food banks and to receive a thank you bag in return that's stuffed with all sorts of goodies and treats and arts and crafts projects as well. So as part of our online webpage with all kinds of crafts and activities and videos, we have an organization that we work with called Raconteur Radio that did a rebroadcast of the 1938 War of the Worlds historic broadcast. And as part of that program, we built a spaceship out in one of our farm fields to give the feel of aliens visiting the village. And the public can visit the county's website for more information and to access that webpage as well.
Well, I want to welcome Les Jones, Department Head of Department of Health and Middlesex County Board of Chosen County Government. Thank you back, Les Jones, for coming back. And you probably are one of the busiest department heads in Middlesex County right now.
Yes, I am, Mayor. Thank you for having us on today. It's extremely important that we get as much information out to the public as we can during these times.
No, today in the New York Times, there was an article how the national government's expecting hospitals across this country to be slammed with COVID cases starting sometime in December, that they're expecting a record number. What is I know Middlesex County, we've all the municipalities have had a test run over the last 7 months, but what is the local county expecting over the next several months during the winter months?
Well, we have seen starting, within the last month or so, an increase in the numbers. We started back, obviously, March, April, and May, seeing some of the highest numbers, not only in the county, but across the state for COVID. And during the summer months, we saw a dramatic decrease. Our residents were listening to the messaging that we were getting out there about social distancing and wearing a mask and, proper hygiene and sanitation. So, but now that we've gotten to the cooler months, we see people moving indoors, we're starting to see an increase in the numbers. We've seen in many of the counties, cases in the hundreds again, which we have not seen since back in May and June. So with that being said, we need to ensure that everyone continues to take precautions, that you wear a mask, you social distance 6 feet away from other people for a time period of at least 15 minutes over a 24-hour period, which is new guidance from the CDC. You need to ensure proper, personal hygiene and hand sanitizing. Soap and water is the best to use, but if you don't have soap and water, then hand sanitizer is the next best thing to use in a pinch. And this is how we're going to get through it. We've heard at the national level. We've heard from our scientists. We've heard from our elected leaders in the state here and in the federal government, most recently, that we need to take these precautions if we're going to get through this until we have a safe, effective, and enough of COVID-19 vaccine for the population of the country and the world in that case.
Now, I guess last week, Dr. Fauci said over national news he was strongly suggesting for the Thanksgiving holiday that not a lot of people get together. I mean, what is your take on that? I know Dr. Fauci, obviously, everything that he's been saying so far turns out to be correct. But what do you have to say with county residents down there that normally, historically, on Thanksgiving, you have large crowds in people's private homes?
Well, we would echo that same sentiment from Dr. Fauci, okay? One of the things that we see with the increases of our numbers are people that are getting together. Parties, we've seen a number of parties. We've seen large events where there may be weddings or other kinds of scenarios, and these are potential sources. And of course, with the holidays come up, we've had some holidays, different religious holidays that have gone on. We have seen some increases in numbers during those times around the state. And public health continues to respond to those circumstances and to quell the spread of disease. But it's good. It's sound advice, again, taking all the precautions. And until we have a safe, effective, and quantifiable vaccine, okay, that we got to take these precautions. And smaller gatherings. We've all become accustomed, as we're doing right here, utilizing either Zoom or Team or Google Connect or many of the other services that are out there. Many people may be setting up a tablet or a laptop at the Thanksgiving table or Christmas or holidays as they come, through the end of the year here. And that may be the way that we have to connect with our families. But definitely getting together with larger groups of people outside of the family unit, we're looking to discourage that at this time.
It's interesting and ironic, normally during this Thanksgiving and the holiday season in December, your department's normally issuing guidelines on food preparation to make sure nobody's eating uncooked food. But here now they're saying don't even bother getting together with a large family crowd and don't worry about the food.
Absolutely. And even though you're not having large get-togethers or having the entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, mom, dad, whoever at the Thanksgiving table or holiday table for that matter, everybody has to be vigilant about, safe food preparation. You have to be vigilant about vaccinations, adult and children vaccinations, flu vaccination, because everything that you can do to minimize the exacerbation of multiple things on the body is what you need to do. And so it's important that we still follow all those rules. And again, COVID is just but one thing, but if our bodies are weakened from something else, then that gives an opportunity for COVID to then come in and make people more susceptible.
And I want to highlight what Director Jones just said, is that especially typically when you have family functions during the Thanksgiving holiday, you normally have parents, older parents, grandparents there who may tend to be vulnerable at this point. So I really think that families may need to rethink large, private home gatherings for the Thanksgiving holiday, because what we've seen is a lot of uptick, both at the governmental level when there's a large gathering, whether it be wedding or a large birthday party. Inevitably later, there's some transmissions of some COVID out of that. And I think it behooves us as officials out there trying to stress to the general public that maybe this is maybe you should just have a few less people at your house this year. Unfortunately, or you could still cook this meal and just have it to go.
That's a very good idea because, families, like someone's pie or, someone's pudding or, wherever the case might be. So delivery service is always the best. Take out.
I know my wife has already put in an order from my brother-in-law's. He makes a great blueberry pie. So he could just leave it at the doorstep and he doesn't even have to come over. So. But anyway, in all seriousness, you mentioned a little bit about flu shots. Some people just are out in the general public just think the flu shots are just basically for older adults or seniors out there and kids. Should everyone get a flu shot, or is it important to get a flu shot this year because of the COVID out there?
Well, in both instances, Mayor, you're correct. Everybody should get a flu shot. 6 months, age 6 months and up. through adults and our elder years, it's very important to get a flu shot every year because, again, you're taking the body when you have the effects of flu and you're weakening the body. So you're susceptible to other diseases. In this case, in 2020, in the year of the pandemic, it's even more important because COVID-19, many of the signs and symptoms of COVID-19 are very similar to that of flu. So the more we can do to prevent, to keep the body strong, then the better off that we are, and we can help to prevent, COVID-19. And it's important to remember that the flu shot does not necessarily always prevent you from getting the flu, but it does minimize the impacts of the flu on the body so you can recover quicker. And I'm sure that's what we're going to see a lot from COVID-19 vaccines, if not that, but then hopefully preventing it altogether as we see the data come in on the many manufacturers that are working to produce the vaccine.
Now, I do know that the county has a COVID testing site at the Erickson property in Piscataway on Hose Lane, but you're also offering free flu vaccinations shots out there, and I believe there's one going to be on November 18th. So how can more residents sign up for that?
Sure. If residents, anybody across the county and Piscataway, all of our locations are open to county residents, and you'll be seeing more and more locations pop up as we use, many different modalities this year because, everybody's used to going to, I believe, like the senior center and places like that, where we would hold them. And obviously some of these facilities do not offer us the social distancing and things like that we need for larger crowds. So we're very gracious for the Township of Piscataway and the Erickson property to allow us to use that facility. It's been extremely successful, for the past few months that we've been using it, and we believe it will continue to be. But residents can go to the county website at www.middlesexcountynj.gov. And if you we have a scrolling bar that goes across there that has flu on it. And if you click on that, it will provide you with information about the flu. And it will also provide you information of when our flu clinics are going to be held, and also how to sign up. And something new, because this is the first year we've ever done a drive-through scenario in Middlesex County, which has been extremely successful. Is that we ask the residents to fill out the form that you would normally fill out by hand when you come to get your vaccination. You do it online, and then also to make an appointment. And again, we've taken the same appointment system that we've used for COVID testing, and we've modified that for our flu vaccination program. And again, so far it's been extremely successful. So I would encourage as many people to come out to get their flu shot. Again, you don't even have to get out of your car. You just got to put your arm out the door there. And,
doesn't get any easier than that.
It doesn't get any, and I'll be quite honest with you, Mayor, when we tested it here at our offices in our parking lot, and I got my flu shot, if it took 2 minutes, that was a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, it's much more efficient of a method. Does not take much time out of your day, and you don't have to get out of your car. And we can do cars of 4 people. So if, mom and dad and the 2 kids want to come and get their flu shot, we can accommodate all of them.
Good. So just as a ironic note, our rabies clinic is actually going to be a drive-through rabies clinic for next year, because we're modeling after the county with the COVID site, driving it through. So I think most towns are going to move towards driving rabies shots right there. So
it's been very, very successful in doing a lot of different things this year, in the year of 2020.
Yeah.
So
there's also within the last 24 hours, there's been talk about Pfizer drug company coming up with a potential vaccination about its effectiveness. So what's your thoughts from speaking with your colleagues at the professional health level and the health officers? Mm-hmm. What's your take on that?
Well, There's a lot of information out there. We have a number of pharmaceutical manufacturers that are undertaking the production of a flu vaccine. Pfizer was just one of them. There are some others that are working not only with Rutgers University and have recruited some of our local residents here as far as different types of studies that are being done that help to determine the effectiveness of the vaccine and also assist in getting the appropriate approvals from the FDA. So all these companies need to get that approval, and right now they're looking for what they call an emergency use authorization, which will allow them to then mass produce and distribute the vaccine throughout the United States. The state of New Jersey and here in the county, we've been working on our plans for how we're going to distribute that vaccine, and again, using many of the modalities that we currently use, and then adding some, and working with a number of our partners in the towns and our emergency management partners to do this as quickly and as effectively as we can. The state has been for a while under Governor Murphy and Commissioner of the Department of Health, have been convening a COVID vaccine group to come up with the best way to do this and what we will need to do. And that models after what's going on at the federal level. And we follow a lot of the information that we get from, the CDC and the FDA in this particular case. So, based on the latest news stories, it looks like a number of these vaccines may be coming out of trial and going to the FDA for an approval at the end of the year or, the beginning of next year. So, we're anticipating, ramping up our operations starting beginning of next year to mid first quarter of 2021.
Now, I know Governor Murphy, I guess, was releasing today some new guidelines for restaurants and large venues out there. And I know they haven't been promulgated down to the local level yet, but from the initial takes, they were talking about some restaurants and bars to be not to serve after 10 o'clock at night. I think that's what the initial, what was being spoken about through the media.
Yeah, so that's correct. Earlier today, I was on a call with the governor's office. We regularly hold a couple of times a week, and I know he also convenes meetings with the local elected officials as well. But restaurants and bars will be required to cease, serving any food or alcohol after 10 p.m. at night. And the reason that it's worded that way is because of our casino industry in the state. People will still be able to, gamble and whatnot on the casino floors and things like that, but there will not be any food or alcohol served after 10 p.m. or before 5 a.m. in the morning.
Okay. Well, if you're drinking at 5 a.m. in the morning, you got a bigger problem. So we've also, just one last question on the COVID, about the contact tracing. The state has a new COVID alert app. What's that all about? I mean,
so the state released, the COVID alert app is a mechanism where you can download either from from Google Play or from the App Store, Apple App Store, or any of the providers like that. You can download the program onto your cell phone. And the cell phone utilizes Bluetooth to determine if someone else who may have been tested positive for COVID is in close proximity to you for, again, looking at that 6 feet for greater than 15 minutes in a 24-hour period of time. It's a totally volunteer program. It does not collect any personal data or anything like that. If people would like additional information. And the other thing you can do is, and we're encouraging people, when we reach out to people who have tested positive for the virus, and we have investigators that do that, and we determine their contacts, and then we have contact tracers, which I'm sure the residents have seen in the news that they've hired, and the state continues to hire more contact tracers so that we can get out to as many people as we can, potential contacts, and ensure that they're doing the proper thing, or if they have any signs or symptoms, and obviously, they need to quarantine for 14 days and monitor those symptoms and whatnot. And we do monitor them. But it provides the opportunity, for people to get a little bit better of an idea, who they may be coming in contact. And you can actually, if you volunteer to do so, you can put your contacts into that particular system if you're positive, and it anonymously notifies those contacts that they've been in contact with somebody that's tested positive for COVID-19. So it appears to be an extremely good notification system and kind of broaden our net. I would encourage anyone to go to their app stores and take a look at it. You can also go to the state website and search, New Jersey COVID-19 Information Hub, and you will be able to find additional information about the app there as well.
Well, I want to thank the Director of Department of Health for the Middlesex County, Les Jones, for stopping on Ion Piscataway. And I think we're going to be seeing more of you as the winter months come along because, unfortunately, if the experts are correct in that, think that we may be in for some problems coming the winter months. However, there is good things with the new President-elect Biden. I guess it's going to be a bigger emphasis on the health, and so we're going to be interested to see what comes out of the new administration when it comes to fighting COVID. So with that, thanks for stopping by, Les, and get some sleep.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Today we had the opportunity to go from our gnome to other senior citizens' gnomes to wish them happy Halloween and bring them a goodie bag and also see their wonderful Halloween costumes, which they had on at their homes.
Thank you guys, this is so sweet for you guys to do this. I've missed the center and I've missed you all, and I'm hopeful that this will all end soon and that we can reunite again. So I'm wishing you all blessings and thank you again for stopping out and doing this for the seniors. Can't appreciate it enough.
Happy Halloween from Piscataway Township Senior Center.
I want to welcome Council President and at-large Councilwoman Gabrielle Cahill back to Ion Piscataway. And first of all, I want to congratulate you, Cahill Shaw and Chanel McCollum, for your victory, which will be finalized on November 20th for your election, this 2020 election.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really happy to be here today, and congratulations to you as well. A good campaign highlighting the things that have gone very well in town. So congratulations to you as well.
Good. I guess I get another 4 years to add some more gray hair to my head. So
certainly.
No, but I want to give a shout out to Third Ward Councilman Steve Kahn for pitch hitting for the last several months here as the host of Ion Piscataway for me during the election. So thanks a lot, Steve. Appreciate it. We did have Les Jones on from the County Department of Health talking about the pandemic, and we also, Council President, had over the last couple months some calls and letters from some folks about the cable service. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we're also getting a plethora of calls about the aggregation issue. So let's go to the talk about cable, because we only have about a 15-minute segment here. So take it away.
Right. So, Mr. Mayor, as you know, that we have been in constant communication with our liaison at Altice, State Government Affairs Manager. And we've been talking with Altice, Cablevision, ever since these issues have arisen. And here is what we know today. We know that Cablevision has fixed or enhanced 2 nodes in town, and they split them. And what does that mean? It means roughly 800 residents, 400 in each section, were affected with an increase of capacity. We know that their customer service department had been very lackluster. They acknowledged that. They also told us too that they would increase their personnel in customer service. They had lost a lot during the COVID and for a variety of reasons. But during these storms, they realized that perhaps the biggest issue for the consumer is that you couldn't get through to somebody to even complain or to, figure out what to do. So we're hoping they've committed to that by the end of this year, they would increase that department in order to take the increase in calls. We know that the parts of town that were affected by these nodes were in the Heights area, and then also in the Arbor section, I do believe.
Yes.
So we know those parts of towns and those residents should have started to see a better capacity. But Mr. Mayor, as you know, that we don't ever just, let things lie. We will stay in constant communication with Cablevision to advocate for the increased capacity in all parts of the town. And if you wanted to add,
Well,
what
I
you
think
learned.
this is, Council President, this is an overall issue nationally, not just in Piscataway.
Right.
You have people working from home now and students going to school virtually, so it has added constraints and pressure on the system as a whole. But I think a lot of people are concerned that there's not effective competition here, and that has nothing of our doing, but this is something that through the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the New Jersey League of Municipalities, and New Jersey Conference of Mayors, that we've been speaking with our federal and state officials, whether it's the Board of Public Utilities or the FCC, regards to issues like this, because this issue is not going to go away. It's
Right.
only going to be exacerbated because depending upon what happens further with the pandemic, especially this coming winter, it may be problematic for use of at home with the computers. So
Right, absolutely. And as we've discovered that schools who have attempted to have, some hybrid schooling in person or not, we know here in Piscataway, I think we just found out that they're probably not bringing kids back in person until January now.
Yeah.
But having said that, getting back to your point about that, we don't, tell companies which companies to come in or not. We can't certainly do that. But there are avenues for you as the mayor, we as the council, to reach out to government officials to try to fix this. That, it is kind of strange, right? That, in America, we say competition is extremely healthy. It's really the consumer who ends up benefiting from it.
Yeah.
So why is it now that there isn't competition? I'm sure there are a variety of reasons why. It certainly isn't the town who set it up that way.
Yeah.
So, I look forward to hopefully getting, you spoke about Verizon, I think in one of your messages, they do have FiOS in certain parts of town. We would love to have them to expand that, but, they have to look at it as, in their capital budgets, their improvements to see, does it work with their business model as well?
Well, I think it's kind of on, we're all concerned about the digital divide, especially with houses where you're educating your kids at home. But,
Right.
We're predominantly an IT town here in Piscataway, but yet we have a lot of areas of town that are not serviced, it only has one provider, so which is ironic on that one.
Right.
I know we're only touching upon this for a few minutes. We do have to go to another area that we've received a lot of calls, letters, from upset residents having to do with the aggregation referendum and the implementation of it. There was a op-ed, well, not an op-ed, a letter to the editor from one of the local social media outlets saying that the township governing body didn't handle the rollout correctly of the referendum. I just want to push back on that and say that's absolutely incorrect and very blatant misleading. The township officials have followed it to the letter of the law of the referendum that was passed by the voters in conjunction with the Board of Public Utilities regulations. Everybody received a letter. And I think what it is that the advocates from Food and Water Watch and their latte coffee group that were supporting them basically misled a lot of people, saying that there was going to be substantial savings if you went this route, and yet you were going to save the environment. The problem is now, I guess, in the pandemic, people have not seen any savings at all. And more importantly is, I think now a lot of people are voting with their energy bills and are opting out. Originally, one of their advocates down at the council meeting said that there would only be anywhere from 10 to 12% that would opt out. When council president at the time, Chanel McCollum, asked the question, what happens if 70%? That individual said that would never happen. Well, at this point, as we speak right now, 52% of the township residents' households that receive energy bills have opted out. And a lot of it's because there's gyrations in the energy market, and the costs have gone up. And we're going to have to rebid this out as per the referendum sometime late next year into 2021. And ultimately, at the end of the day, when the benchmarks keep going up that was set in the referendum, it's a good bet that the energy costs will go up. I mean, nothing's set in stone, but if you put logic together that, the higher the renewable numbers, the more the cost is going to be. And I just, as you and I both know, and all the other council members, we're getting the calls from the seniors, people on fixed income, people who've lost their jobs, about being able to pay for their energy bills, and they're very upset about it, and they don't understand why they had to opt out. Why shouldn't this have been an opt-in? And
Right.
we're
So-
following. Go ahead, Council President.
No, just to your point, I want to highlight a couple of things, Mr. Mayor, that you said, is that the township, meaning, the governing body, had to follow the letter of the law. That, when the ordinance went out as a referendum for the town to vote on it, and they approved it overwhelmingly. Part of that was that we were required to follow it exactly written by this other organization, not by your township officials. So let's just be clear. So we have to follow that. And what did we do? Part of that is in education to the resident, which we did. All the information went out. We abided. I think there is a website that the New Jersey state government puts out that talks about what townships need to do when they decide to get into an aggregation program. And part of that is the education piece. So we have done that. I think what happened here is, yes, the energy prices were in flux, the pandemic affected it, et cetera. But we also have to understand that part of our due diligence was that we hired somebody to look at the town to see, in effect, if this would work. Unfortunately, our hands were tied, right? We sort of put the cart before the horse, because after it was voted on, we had to hire somebody to look at our township. At that point, we could see that our township makeup, our profile, our energy profile may not have fit exactly what this outside organization was talking about with other towns, right? Our town. And so here we did have this opt out. And again, to your point, is that during this pandemic, people were adversely affected, financially, furloughs, layoffs, we see it. We have the university here in town is, really suffered through this. So our residents in whole, the makeup of our residents isn't one way, right? Financially. I think that our town incorporates some, people who make a good amount of money and who can afford perhaps to be more sustainable financially during this period of time. And then you have folks right in the middle, and you have folks like our seniors, like other people who just don't have that wherewithal right now. And I would suggest, and I would say, hey, maybe for those who can afford it, it is incumbent upon you to be more sustainable and to help maybe turn the tide of our energy use as a country nationally. But to put that burden upon seniors and other residents who don't have the financial means at this point, we can see why they opted out. They just did not have the ability to pay that extra money at this particular time.
Yeah, I actually think that the Food and Water Watch folks and the local progressives here in Piscataway knew that the energy profile, what it was. And I'm beginning to think now, after getting some complaints from the residents, that they were using this referendum as a data collection point for their campaigns, which ultimately, at the end of the day, is Food and Water Watch endorsed somebody in the Democratic primary, just was out there, who was the husband of one of the leading proponents of this. They knew exactly what they were doing, and basically a lot of these residents were hung out to dry. Listen, people can make a choice. If they want to stay in the program for sustainable, if they have money to pay for it, that's fine. If you don't and you want to be educated further, you can always opt out, like 52% of the people did. I don't know what ultimately is going to end up happening with the markets moving forward in the next couple of years when this goes back out to bid. But if it's anything like what transpired over the last 3 to 4 months, you got to do logic and think that it is going to go up. And
right. And I would say to you, Mr. Mayor, is that, we understand that this particular law as written is the 3-year prospect for the
Yes.
township. And we will learn lessons from how this particular law was written. And I would venture to say that we would look at it and come together and figure out how we could better serve, had we been given the opportunity, that we could better serve our town while still moving to more sustainability, more renewable energy, while still making sure that we're covering those people who could not afford, by not forcing their hand necessarily. But right now we have, we're in this program for 3 years. Yeah. So we'll continue to educate our residents. We'll do our due diligence. We are fielding all the calls. And
I want to interject before we close out. And for those residents want to know, how did these folks get my email or phone numbers for political campaigns? When people have petitions and stuff, be careful where information you give out ends up. And in this case, a lot of it ended up in the local progressives' hands for their primary campaign. So, which I thought was disingenuous here if you're using a roundabout way, but that's a whole nother issue. But listen, take a look at the BPU website, understand this thing, because this is not going away. So just, if you can either opt out or stay in or opt up. That's basically it at this point.
And look through your mail.
Yes.
And, pay attention to the mail that is coming to you, which folks we know nowadays sometimes just toss things if they look at it and they think it's solicitation.
Okay, thanks a lot for stopping by. I'm Piscataway Council President. Look forward to seeing you in the future, hopefully at some point in person.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to that time.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we do have some video clips here, some engineering department construction that's been going on throughout the town. This is over on Zirkle Avenue. It's a project in conjunction with the Board of Chosen Freeholders. We're hoping that this will be finished up by late spring of 2021. They're building a culvert bridge right there. And then also, well, I should say a culvert. It's not a bridge, and then we're reconstructing the balance of the street. So, a good chunk of the construction should be finished before Christmas holiday season. However, the construction on Brotherhood, which is in conjunction with Edison Township, is going to spill over into late spring of next year because there's a lot of conflicts with the utility companies that, between the telephone poles and some of the gas shutoffs that still need to be moved. So they're going to try to get the road buttoned up as best they can before the holiday season in December, before they shut down, and then, re-engage probably back in March out there. So hopefully they'll have all the heavy construction finished, with the exception of the utility companies out there. So Riverview Avenue off of River Road by the Greek Orthodox Church is the same deal. It's they're not going to be able to finish it before the end of the year. There's a lot of conflicts with the gas lines, water lines, and utility companies. So just be patient, folks, if you live in that area. Okay, I want to welcome the Piscataway Acting Police Chief, Tom Mosier, stopping by Ion Piscataway today for the November show. And Tom, just recently in the press, there was a news article in regards to the Piscataway Police Department receiving state accreditation through the State Chiefs of Police Association. Can you explain a little bit about what that accreditation is? What is the program? And what does that mean for the Piscataway Police Department? And what does that mean for township residents?
Well, it's, as you said, a statewide program which is run by the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. And it's a review of all of the functions of the police department. There's 112 standards that we have to meet for the accreditation, and each one of those standards has to be proven through copies of documents and that we're following the policies and procedures that are laid out by the police department. What it means for the residents of Piscataway, it means that they can be assured that they have a well-run police department that are following best practices in the state, and those best practices identified by the Association of Chiefs of Police here in New Jersey.
Now, Chief, a lot of these are also guidelines that are set up, I believe, from the State Attorney General's office also?
Yes, they are synced together. All of our policies mirror those of the Attorney General. He is obviously the Chief Law Enforcement Officer in New Jersey, and such as use of force and pursuit and all of those major policies are laid out by the Attorney General, filtered down to the prosecutor's office in each county, and then basically our policy is word for word off of those documents.
Now, I think for most people out in the general viewership area is that police departments, I guess, across the state of New Jersey cannot go on their own. As the acting chief, Tom Mosier, just mentioned that all these rules and regs are promulgated out of the Attorney General's office and through the county prosecutor's office. So it is very hard for a department to have a different set of rules than what has been agreed to by those two agencies. Correct, Chief?
Yeah, it's actually not legal. We are not allowed to have our own pursuit policy. The only thing we can do to the Attorney General's policy, and indeed the county prosecutor's policy, is make it more stringent. We can't make it any less stringent. We have to begin at a baseline of their policy. And take pursuit, for example. We can say that in Piscataway there will absolutely be no pursuits for any reason, but we cannot make it less stringent.
Okay. Now, and in regards to the township governance, that through getting accreditation, that through our joint insurance fund, it actually helps out that the town is getting credited for insurance reasons there too, because obviously any and all police department matters are all covered through the township insurance. So by receiving the accreditation also helps out with the insurance. Does this happen on a yearly basis or every 2 or 3 years?
It's a process that goes every day, because we have to, as I stated earlier, we have to we have to set those standards and we have to meet those standards. We reapply for it in 3 years, but in order to reapply, we have to keep every one of those standards rolling through that 3 years.
So it's a rolling three-year accreditation.
Correct.
It's sort of for folks out in the general public. It's sort of like purchasing. It's not a defined accumulative year, say from January 1st to December 31st. It's an ongoing rolling 365-day-a-year process.
Yes, we've been in this process now to get accredited for a year. So in order for us to be reaccredited, we have to keep those proofs up going all the way through the 3 years and then submit all the paperwork in 3 years for our reaccreditation.
Yeah, and I don't think the general public understands how much paperwork is involved in this in order to get the accreditation.
Oh, it's mountains of paperwork and mountains of proofs that have to be done. I believe our accreditation manager, who is Lieutenant Michelle Pilch, did a great job, as well as all of our officers who helped through this. there were 876 proofs that we had to provide to the Chiefs organization in order to get this accreditation. So you can imagine how much work that is.
Well, Chief, I want to congratulate you and the members of the department over there for getting an accreditation, because I know it's not an easy thing to get over the hurdles with that. But I want to let the general public know, rest assured, that our police department is trying due diligence there and following all policies and procedures set up as per these guidelines, as well as through the state attorney general and the county prosecutor's guidelines.
We are certainly utilizing best practices here, and that was recognized by the Chiefs. So we're extremely proud of it. It was hard fought, and we worked through it, and we got the accreditation. So we are extremely proud of it.
Yeah, and we have to, people have to also understand in government, whether it's through police departments or other entities within local governments, the chiefs of police share best practices amongst themselves. A lot of them, it's okay to have there's no trademark secrets when it comes to law enforcement policies and procedures. If another department found a better way of attaining something and it meets the Attorney General's muster there, then so be it. Share it away if it helps out the community.
You're exactly right, Mayor. No one department in anywhere, as a matter of fact, is perfect. So the way we improve on these policies is by everybody putting in a piece, and that's what improves them every day. So that's 100% correct.
Well, I want to thank you for stopping by Ion Piscataway and sharing the great news about the department. And we look forward to seeing a 2021 year coming up with the department. And as always, if anybody has any questions or anything, you always contact the chief directly or his subordinates there, because they're more than happy to get the citizens engaged with the police department.
Certainly, we're here to serve the citizens of Piscataway. And I thank you, Mayor, for allowing us to go through this process and giving us the support, both yourself and the council, for making it through this prestigious award. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for stopping by Ion Piscataway. Acting Chief Tom Mosier stopping by Ion Piscataway. Well, we were very fortunate enough to have Amy Bauman from the Piscataway Senior Center Director stop by all the houses of the veterans who are members of the Senior Citizen Center. We dropped off ribbons and a letter from me, and because we normally would have a program in the luncheon for all the veterans in town, and unfortunately due to the pandemic, we're not allowed to do that. So we did the drive-bys there, and a lot of the veterans were very appreciative that they stopped by. This is a photo of former Councilman Paul Beatty, a former Township Business Administrator too. So the veterans were very appreciative of Amy and her team to stop by and present them, and a lot of them had pictures of when they were in the service out there, and when they looked probably about 50 years younger, some of them, maybe 60. But I want to thank, on behalf of the Township Council and myself and all the residents of Piscataway, I want to thank you for your service to our great country, and we owe you a debt of gratitude. Okay, I want to thank Lisa Couch from the Fish Organization for stopping by Ion Piscataway's November show. Nice to see you again, Lisa.
You too, Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. COVID has really taken a toll on the Fish Organization in the sense that you've not been able to have certain services out there during the time of this virus. Are you back to speed now, or are you back up to par with your hours of operation now?
Yes, we are. We started last week. Our food room is now open every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 12, and the third Saturday of every month. And then the clothing room is now open on Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 to 12.
Now, obviously Thanksgiving's coming up in a couple of weeks, and then after that, the holiday seasons, the different events during the month of December. What type of items does the Fish Organization need? I know cash is always at a premium for the organization, but if there's people tend to want to donate, what are you looking for people to donate?
Well, beginning next Monday, we start handing out our Thanksgiving food bags, and we are in need of frozen turkeys, frozen chickens, frozen turkey breasts, and hams. And then, of course, all the accompaniments that go with a holiday meal, such as gravy, stuffing, etc. We do that also for Christmas. So anything that we do not utilize for Thanksgiving, we keep in the freezer because Christmas is right on the heels of Thanksgiving, and we just keep rolling.
Have you seen this past 6 to 8 months, an uptick in need through the fish organization for out in the general public?
We actually have. We've had a lot of new people come to register because they are unemployed. And it runs the gamut. It goes from the professional down to, something part-time. And especially with children being home now and, they're home, they're not getting all those free meals at school.
Yeah.
So they're eating a lot more at home, and it's putting quite a burden on parents. So we've seen a lot of people come for the first time to sign up, and people who have already been with us, they've had an increase in their needs of food. So we've increased what we give to them.
Lisa, you just brought up a very good point. The fact is now that people are actually going to school at their houses, children are being taught there, they're tending to eat more while they're at home, where they would normally be in school getting a hot meal and stuff like that, which is presenting more challenges for families in need.
That's a big part too. And then there's another part where we are seeing an increased number of people who are living out of their vehicles or who are living in hotel rooms. And those are very challenging situations because you can't give them something to put in an oven. They don't have an oven.
Yeah.
You can't give them something to be warmed up because they don't have that ability. So that's another challenge that we're facing. So we're doing the best we can to meet those needs. We never send anyone away without something.
Has that within the last 6 months has that been the norm over the last 5 or 6 years, or but more people living in hotels?
It has increased over the past 5 and 6 years. I will say that there was a period of time about 2 years ago. It certainly was a lot more than we've seen. It has decreased, but the need is still there. And there's no rhyme or reason as to the season or any economic indicators as to why this is happening. It just seems to ebb and flow. And right now we're on an ebb. And, like I said, we're doing the best we can to meet that need. One of the other things that's good for us is gift cards, because we do have people who live in hotels. If they live across the street from a restaurant, we're able to give them a gift certificate to one of the restaurants. They can at least get a good meal, or even to like Quick Check or 7-Eleven, those stores, they can go in and get different things, not necessarily always food, but they can get things that they need. So that's helpful.
Now, are you still accepting clothes at this time?
We are. We reopened on Mondays and Wednesdays. We did find a volunteer to run our clothing room on Wednesdays. So now we will be open both of those days from 9 to 12. And we are taking donations only when we're open. And right now we're in beautiful weather. However, the cold weather is coming, and we do have a need for winter coats, particularly for women. But we'll take winter coats for anyone, but they need to be in good, usable condition, and they need to be able to be laundered in a washing machine, because people who come to us don't have the means to be able to take something to a dry cleaners.
Yeah. Well, my wife has had this orange heavy overcoat for like 25 years that she absolutely loves. And she looks like a large traffic cone out there, but I would love to see that donated, but it would have to be dry cleaned. So it could be, so.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, I'm not be joking around now, but it is she says it's like the warmest coat she has. So
I'm sure.
But in all seriousness, I think people need to realize that during these trying economic times, that there's a desperate need out there for clothing for people and food that we haven't seen because the economic collapse, not just in this region but across the country, might be in this perpetually for a longer period of time until vaccination comes up with the virus. And that's something that's going to be challenging, not only for your organization, but local governments as well, because there's always a need through the county assistance boards and things like that in local towns.
Right. I do have to say, our local houses of worship, a lot of the civic organizations, they have been wonderful to us at Fish. If it wasn't for the giving of our community, we wouldn't be able to continue to do what we do. There have been times we have been overwhelmed with donations, and there are times when we're pleading for them, but it always seems to work out, and the community really responds. And we appreciate that so very much, because without their support, we have nothing to work with.
And you're always looking for some volunteers also, I assume?
Yes. Yes, we're always looking for volunteers, good people who are want in their hearts. We found that people have to really want to do it in order to get something out of it and to stick around. But we're always looking for good volunteers, good people to come and help us, eating both clothing and food.
Now, you might want to give the number out if somebody wants to volunteer or to donate out there, so we could put it up on the screen, so you can give us the number.
Sure. It's our hotline number. It is an answering machine. You can leave a message on it, and Monday through Friday, we have volunteers who take those messages. So if you're looking for any assistance for food or clothing, or you're looking to donate or to volunteer, you can call 732-356-0081.
And I do know that Councilwoman Lombardi donated some time down there back during the pandemic.
Yes, she did. She's such a great spirit. Michelle is always positive, always upbeat, willing to help wherever. There needs to be more people in the world like her. She's great. And we were so glad to have her come, and she just got right into the thick of it. She's one of us now. So.
Yeah, she truly enjoyed working down there, actually, and volunteering. But I want to thank you for stopping by on Piscataway, and just remind the viewers out there, please, during the holiday seasons coming up, keep the Fish organization in mind, because they do a lot of charitable work for a lot of folks from around this region of the state. And it's not easy volunteering and running an organization such as Fish, because when there's a very large demand out there, it takes a lot of time and effort. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and my council members' hearts for volunteering, and all the volunteers down at the organization.
Well, we thank you, Mayor, and we thank everyone within this community for the support, and especially to you and your office for always supporting us. We certainly do appreciate it.
Okay. Well, you have a safe holiday season coming up, and everybody stay healthy at the Fish organization.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank Lisa Couch for stopping by on Piscataway, and just remind the viewership out there that they're always in need of a lot of things over there. No need is too small. So please feel free to contact the hotline number. Thank you for watching Eye on Piscataway here in November, and I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Please stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing Santa Claus on the December show.